Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Who was St. Alban? Alban was the first martyr of Britain. In a time and place where standing up for Christian beliefs was dangerous, Alban publicly bore witness to his convictions and served as an inspiration of the early Christian community. Alban is the earliest Christian in Britain who is known by name and, according to tradition, the first British martyr. He was a soldier in the Roman army stationed at a city called Verulamium, a city about 20 miles northeast of London, now called St. Albans. Although he was then a worshipper of Roman gods, including the emperor, he gave shelter to a Christian priest fleeing from persecution. Influenced by the priest's prayers and teaching, Alban became a Christian. When the authorities discovered the priest's hiding place, Alban exchanged clothes with the priest. The priest escaped and Alban was bound and taken before the judge. The judge was furious at the deception and ordered that Alban should receive the punishment due the priest if he had indeed become a Christian. 1 John chapter 3, where we read, verse 16 says, "We know love by this, that he laid down his life for us, and we ought to lay down our lives for one another." That is practical example of our father founder and our patron saint, Alban, in whose name our church is named. Alban declared his Christian faith, saying in words still used in prayers, quote, "I worship and adore the true and the living God who created all things," unquote. Despite flogging, he refused to sacrifice to the Roman gods and was sentenced to death. The traditional date of his martyrdom is about 303 or 304. And during the persecution under the Emperor Severus, Christians were always in running, scattering, fear of death. But Alban presented himself. Alban was brought out of town across the river and up a hill to the site of execution, where his head was cut off. Jesus said, in where we read in Matthew chapter 10, verse 37, he says, "Whoever loves father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. And whoever loves son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. And whoever does not take up the cross and follow me is not worthy of me. Those who find their life will lose it, and those who lose their life for my sake will find it." You know, we tend to care so much for the flesh. We tend to care so much for our being, physical being, not knowing that even though we tend to take care of our flesh, we take care of our flesh to keep it for death. So there's no way, there's no amount of makeup, there's no amount of caring, there's no amount of medication, there's no amount of anything you can think of we put in our bodies that will make our bodies not to decay. It must. Either when we are born, cremated, as some people may choose, or we are beneath the earth 6 feet, and we know what will happen to the body, to the flesh, when it gets down 6 feet. Destroyed. on the hilltop, a spring of water miraculously appeared to give the matter a drink. Also, moved by his witness, the original executioner refused to carry out the deed. And after his replacement killed Alban, the executioner's eyes dropped out. This is based on the account of the Venerable Bede, about 760 AD. Venerable Bede tells us, quote, when the peace of Christian times was restored, a beautiful church worthy of his martyrdom was built, where sick folk are healed and frequent miracles take place to this day. I encourage those who travel to take a pilgrimage to the city of St. Alban in England, because I believe when you get there, you will understand the meaning of the church you are a member of. We may not necessarily die like Alban, because we are in a safer world, in a safer place today. But that does not mean we may be in a safer place tomorrow. Things change. Things evolve. What I'm doing here as your pastor and priest is to equip you, to strengthen you, so that anywhere you find yourself, any challenges that may come across you, you will be strong. You will stand firm in faith of Jesus Christ, knowing that the ministry you are doing is not in vain, and it doesn't end here. Here is temporal, there is eternal. The Venerable Bede gives this account of Alban's trial. When Alban was brought in, the judge happened to be standing before an altar, offering sacrifice to devils. What is your name? What is your family name? What is your race? Demanded the judge. How does my family concern you? Replied Alban. If you wish to know the truth about my religion, know that I am a Christian and I'm ready to do a Christian's duty. I demand to know your name, insisted the judge. Tell me at once. My parents named me Alban, he answered, and I worship and adore the living and true God who created all things. So Alban wasn't afraid even at point of death. He preached Jesus is crucified. A new Christian just made the priest exchange the priest's garment, clothes, with his, surrendered to the army, soldiers who came to take the priest away. He surrendered. In place of the priest, what a sacrifice. So we are called to live up to our names. You know, when people are given names, they are expected to live up to their names. I was named Gideon. If you don't know the history of Gideon, I want you to go to the book of Judges chapter 6 in Old Testament and read the history of Gideon. My mom, when she named me Gideon, she never knew I'm going to be serving God. But people are like their names. Alban means greater. Someone who is greater. So he became greater because of his faith in Christ. So I encourage us to keep running the race, knowing that people may try to kill the flesh, but they can never touch your souls. Because your souls, our souls, belong to God. Jesus said, fear him who will destroy the body and destroy the souls. Do not fear that person who may only destroy the body. What it means is that we should always be on the alert in the service of God. And we should always declare our faith, even in different circumstances, knowing that we are preaching Jesus. Don't be afraid. If you have opportunity to share your faith, please do. By the way of your lifestyle, by the way you carry yourself, by your words, by your deeds. Share your faith. The priest ran into Alban's house, who was a pagan. And the priest was able to share his faith with a pagan who became a powerful Christian. May God help us to live up to our name. Our name is nothing but Alban. May we look unto our Father Founder, look up to Him, and always ask God to give us grace to live like Him, to behave like Him, anytime, any day, anywhere, so that the crown